The scam that is the mortgage interest deduction. But just listen to these guys, I'm not going to say their names. Talk about a 5 1/4 interest rate on a mortgage, but when you factor in the deductions, it's probably 4 1/4 instead. Your net interest is 4 1/4. I just chuckle. I just chuckle. Implication, of course, is that, and I didn't watch the whole video because I don't watch that many financial planning or advisory or investment channels that much. I don't. Every now and again, I watch Meet Kevin. Once in a while, Graham. I like Graham. He cracks me up. Don't really watch the money guy. Not the money guy. Who's the other guy? The financial guy? Jeremy. Jeremy, is that the money guy? The Big Al? Who's that? So we got the money guy. I know those guys. Big Al. I forgot what that show was. Your Money, Your Wealth. I mean, I like all these guys. I like the Indian guy. I forgot his name. I just don't watch all that much, frankly. I just, because I like other stuff. The stuff I watch are more along the lines of germ theory. You know, my man John Levi. You're looking at various, like the Sunnyside, Utah ovens. Did we actually, are those real? It's incredibly interesting to me. Anyway, so going back to mortgage interest, so I don't watch these guys. Every now and again, I'll catch a video. I say, all right, that makes sense, or nah, it doesn't. This kind of, the idea that your mortgage interest is deductible, and as such, look at what your net interest is as opposed to what your gross is. I actually challenge that 100%. I'll share with you why. First of all, the vast majority of us are not deducting their mortgage interest. They're just not, because standard deductions are so high. Now, will standard deductions be this high come the Trump tax bill going away? No. But then a personal exemption will come back. So remember, in mortgage interest, it's a below the line deduction. That means you got to fill out Schedule A, I think. And what happens is, if your standard deduction, just for simplicity, man, because I'm a simple guy, I'm a caveman. I don't understand your financial planning ways. So if you're married filing jointly, let's just use that for example, and you have your standard deduction of $30,000, for you to deduct your mortgage interest, that means you'd have to itemize more than $30,000 of deductions. All right. Now, the average Joe and Jane out there, the median household income will just say $70,000 a year. For them to itemize more than $30,000 of standard deduction, they're going to have a hell of a lot of expenses, dudes. They're going to have huge charitable giving, maybe some healthcare costs, huge mortgage interest, huge real estate taxes, all that stuff. Literally, they're going to have basically more than half their income is going to itemize expenses. That's not going to happen. I think Tax Foundation did a report a couple years ago after the standard deduction increased. Only like 5% of households are deducting their mortgage interest. And the vast majority of those are people who make money like me. All right. But let's just say you do itemize and you do take a mortgage deduction. I'll use your old buddy Josh. Let's just say my standard deduction is $30,000. Let's say I had $36,000 of itemized deductions. All right. So those itemized deductions included, again, charitable giving, real estate taxes, mortgage interest. All right, so mortgage interest alone doesn't get me above the $30,000 threshold for itemized deductions. If that's the case, my house is freaking insanely huge, and I have an insane debt in which to have $30,000 or more of mortgage interest, which I don't. And I got a big house. And I have a lot of interest, but it ain't $30,000. So between my real estate taxes, which are $7,500, my charitable deductions, which I don't tithe, I wish I could say I did, but I probably get $10,000 to $15,000 a year of charities, all right? And my mortgage interest, I think it's $15,000 last year, $12,000, something like that. So between my mortgage interest and my real estate taxes, is roughly $20,000 of deductions there, all right? That doesn't put me over the top of my standard deduction of $30,000. So none of that is tax deductible until I use my charitable giving, which is like I said, $15,000. So now I'm $35,000 of itemized deductions. All right. If I did not give charitably, I would use a standard deduction, and I would not be able to write off my mortgage interest or my real estate taxes because it's below the line deductions. Only because I gave $15,000 in charity was I able to get above the $30,000 threshold in which I could write off my mortgage interest and my real estate taxes. But even then, it doesn't matter. The difference between $35,000 of itemized deductions and $30,000 of itemized deductions, because that's the standard deduction. $30,000, again, I'm just using this for an example. $30,000 of standard deduction, $35,000 of itemized deductions. I get to write off an extra $5,000, $5,000 of itemized deductions. So for simplicity, say I made $100,000. Now my gross, my AGI is $70,000 with a standard deduction or $65,000 with the itemized deduction. All right. So I'm basically taxed at 12% on the difference. 12. So check this out. 65,000. All right, I'm in the 12% tax bracket, married, filing jointly. 70,000, I'm in the 12% tax bracket, married, filing jointly. So I'm literally saving 12% on that extra $5,000 of itemized deductions. 12% on 1,000 is $1,200. Times that by 5, that's basically $600. So I got a tax savings of $600 because I could itemize my deductions as opposed to standard deductions. Thus, going back to mortgage interest, and again, for simplicity, we'll say it costs $12,000 of mortgage interest. I was able to write a portion of that off for simplicity now, $5,000. The only reason I was able to write that off is because of that charitable giving. And the net savings to me was $600. Wow, man. Woo! Sign me up. It's such a scam. Such a flipping scam. $600. I still have net interest I have to pay from $12,000 with my mortgage interest itemized. $12,000 my total mortgage interest. We'll just write the whole thing off, all right? I'm still paying $11,400 of interest net of taxes. Or you could look at a standard deduction. I'm still paying $12,000 in interest net of taxes. Either way, it still costs me about $1,000 a month. Some tax savings, huh? It's crazy. And people are going to say, well, Josh. So if you look back, and can't do it in my head because I'm just a caveman financial planner. That's what I should come up with. The caveman financial planner. Ooh, that's a good one. So if I look at $600 off of 12,000, I don't even know what that is in terms of what my net cost is. But certainly, if I have a 5.25% interest rate on my mortgage, it's certainly still a hell of a lot more than 4.25% net of taxes, as these guys were saying. It's just the whole thing's such a scam. It's such a scam. The reason it's a scam is to do a couple things. To keep you invested in the market. That's where fees are made. Investments. Hey, no, don't pay off your debt because, we expect you to be able to get more than 4.25%. Well, how are you getting 4.25%, Josh? My mortgage is 5.25%. Well, after taxes, Joe. All right. Well, that's a scam anyway, because that whole idea that paying off your mortgage is a guaranteed rate of return of 5.25% without question. There's no risk there at all. Part two of this is that you're not getting a 1% discount because you can write off the taxes. So from 5.25% to 4.25%, you're not actually writing off the whole 5.25%, and it's only costing you 4.25%. That's just stupid. You're not. You're actually writing off a small percentage of that. So to say, I'm only paying 4.25%, yeah, you're actually paying more than that, bud. We'll say it's 5 1/8, 5.125. We'll say you're getting an eighth. That's 12.5 basis points. You're getting an eighth of a write-off. Wow. Let me take on that mortgage to get an eighth of a write-off. Part 3 of the scam is, hey, you can buy a bigger house. More leverage. Why, Josh? Look, we all fell for it. Well, I shouldn't say we all. I'm speaking for me. We all fell for it. I just said it. I fell for it. I don't want to project now. I fell for it. Buy a bigger house. Higher mortgage. It's deductible, man. Yes, only 5%, 5.25%. But after taxes, it's a 4.25%. Oh, yeah, that's right. So buy a bigger house as opposed to the 3-bed, 2.5-bath ranch on an acre. You could buy a 4-bed, 3.5-bath, friggin' Tudor home. Such a friggin' joke. Hate that crap. All right, love your thoughts. We'll see you. Hopefully this came through because I am on my headphones and sometimes it doesn't come through as well as I'd like. See ya.